We had longer and shorter measurements. Meaning, yesterday was if there's a discrepancy in the measurements, we always go with the longer one because Lemaisa we're makel with techum. Techum is the Rabbanon, and the Chachamim. It's all from the Chachamim, so the Chachamim were as lenient as possible. And then we had the Gemara: if you make a small city into a large city into a small city, then you have to leave over a little bit of the corner so that it's so that everybody knows that there's such thing as an erev. There's an Aruch HaShulchan, right? We were discussing yesterday why we don't have this nowadays. There's an Aruch HaShulchan that says that this only applies to walled cities, right? Because you're in a walled city, you have no idea that there's an erev, right? A kid grows up in a walled city, right? He has no idea what an erev is. But nowadays, we have erevin that use lechis and wires. Yes, granted, the Olam doesn't know where they are, what they are, but theoretically, they know that there's, what's those wires and these lechis and checkers going out, Therefore, you don't need I think that was the Aruch HaShulchan that said it. So maybe that's why nowadays we don't need to have a part of the city that's out of the erev, right? And then we said that the city, once you make an erev with a city, you have to include the entire city, not parts of the city. And we had Machlokes whether you can split the city lengthwise or widthwise. And then the last thing we learned was, can a ladder be considered as a opening in a fence, right? Which, of course, somebody today asked, if there's a fence in between 2 yards, can they make a minion combining, and there's no door in the fence? So I should have told them, put a ladder there, right? That would have been today's daf, whatever, yesterday's daf. Put a ladder there, and then it's a good on either side, and then you're good to go. Then it would make it a lot easier to be matter. Okay, with the evid l'maisa we allow it, and so that takes us to daf samach, and then tonight's daf is more of measuring the erev techum, and then an interesting, then if the erev ends up, if you make an erev techum and you end up putting it into a city, so do you become part of that city or do you not become part of that city? Okay, so we're 3 wide lines down on daf samach amud aleph. Yeah.
3 wide lines down is a lot more than 10.
I said 10 from the. I didn't say 10 from the top.
No, I just said 10. I think it just said 10.
Oh, sorry. I meant 10 from the top.
Oh,
I was
okay.
off that way too. 2, 4, 6, 8. I was around 5, 6 lines. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm still on Nintest. I'm a base.
Okay. Anyway, all right.
It's the Rabbanon. It's the Rabbanon.
The Rabbanon, right? We go with the.
Rabbanon.
Very good. Well, I went with the smaller measurement. I'm sorry. Very good.
Yeah. Well, everybody.
Who's that? Yeah,
Punja,
okay.
I got him.
That's Punja. All right. Hanu b'nei kukunai. Yeah, the also l'kamei Rav Yosef. Right. So there were the b'nei kakunoi. Right. A city came to Rav Yosef. Havlan Gavra, Masin. Give us a person that can make us an erev in our city. So Abaya. So he went and told the buyer. Same thing. You go to the rabbi, you go to Rosh Yeshiva and say, "Hey, I need a guy that knows erev and make us an erev." Okay, so he went. So Rav Yosef went and asked Abaya, "Zil Arav Lahu, go make an erev. V'chazi delay mitzavcha alav b'mesh, but make sure the kanoim don't get you. You gotta love. It's mamish, nothing changed, right? Make an erev, but you gotta do it that they don't complain about you in the besmerish, right? So I mean, the way. That's l'chayr. That's the way.
How do you understand that?
What?
Don't complain about you in the basement.
So that's a question. How do we understand it? So we have to see a little later exactly what that means. Meaning, what it seems to say is that the people from the city do it in a way that doesn't inconvenience the people from the city. We'll see in the Taisus later. Let's see the Gemara a little weiter, and we'll come out exactly what it means. Okay, so he says, go make sure they don't scream at you in the besmerish. So also, he went, and this must be like Venice, right? So these houses were on the water, and they only opened onto the water side of the city. They didn't face the rest of the city. So again, there was no doorway for these houses facing the city, only facing away from the city. So also, he saw these people these houses that were open to the river. So we'll make these houses the leftover part of the city, right? Meaning because you have to make an erev in the city, right? And you have to leave something over. These houses couldn't really be part of the city. So he said, great. So we'll make these guys as not part of the city. Hadar Omar, Ein Ma'arvin is Kula. Right, Tanan, we said that you're not allowed to make an erev in the whole city. Mechlal, Di Boy Lerube Matzim Arv. That sounds like if you want to put them in the erev, you are allowed to include them in the erev. Right? And these people can't be included in the erev. So therefore we can't, that can't be counted as excluding. Meaning he thought, okay, we have these houses that can't be part of the erev anyways. You know, so I might as well make them be the section of the town that we have to have that's added to erev. Right? Then he said, 1 second, maybe not, because it's mashma that you only houses that could halachically be included in the erev, then you have to eliminate them from the erev. But houses that couldn't be part of the erev don't count as the eliminated part of the erev. I mean, you could hear the svara either way. If you're a kid, right, and you need to have a section, right? The main thing we said yesterday was that the kids should be the ones that are aware that there's part of the city that's not an erev. So you can think both ways. Okay, so the kids know that they can't carry to these people's houses, so they know there's such a concept of erev. On the other end, the reason why you can't carry there is not because we purposely excluded it. The reason why you can't send them out, you can't carry there is because they couldn't be part of the erev. So maybe it's not a hecker, right? Okay, it's an interesting double-sided question that he had, Abaya. And I guess Abaya was nervous because he didn't want everybody to get at him in the besmedrash. Yeah? So Ella, he says, Avid Lukvi, I'm going to make for them windows. I'll put windows in these people's houses facing the city. If they want to be able to make an erev through windows, they're allowed to make an erev through the windows. Right? And then I'll exclude them from the erev, and then everything is going to be great.
What do you say? Why does windows help?
Because a window, since you're able to hand things to people so that you could become part of their erev. Meaning if me and you live back to back, but there's a fence in between us and there's no way to get from one house to the other, we can't make an erev with each other. There has to be some sort of access. So we're going to see later on that windows works. What'd somebody say?
We said unless you put a ladder.
You could put a ladder, you could put a window, a door obviously is very good. So basically, I mean, listen to what Abaya is doing to these houses. He's telling them, listen, you can't be part of our erev because your front door faces away from the city. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bust a hole in your every one of your houses in your window. I'm going to make a window so we can make an erev, and then I'm going to exclude you from the erev. So what exactly is in it for these guys, right? Imagine that's the issue with that they shouldn't come complain and besmerish. Who'd you send us? This guy. You sent us this guy busting holes in our house, and we can't even be part of the erev.
How does if you're saying the window helps because it enables you to pass things through it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you need the ladder for to begin with the fence? If you could pass things over on the fence anyway, what does the ladder help? Meaning if the whole point of the window is not for access, it's just to pass things from one place to another, right?
Right.
So what do you need a ladder for a fence if you just pass things over the fence?
No, theoretically, yes, but I don't think there's anything recognizable that you're part of one thing. I'm throwing this off the top of my head. I don't know. Meaning, with a window, it's something very clear that we could be a partner. But if there's
but only if
fence,
but only if it's open. If it's closed, then I don't want you in.
No, but you at least
right?
have the potential. A fence. When I built a fence, right? When my neighbors built a fence, I got away personally without building a fence because I guess when I moved in, all the neighbors decided to put up fences. You know what I mean? With no doors in between, right? So I got away with no fences. I got a free fence basically.
Not sure how you should take that.
I know
how he took it.
Bottom line is, I got myself a free fence on all three corners, three sides.
It's better than when you moved in and then they did it, right?
I'm saying it's a fence. It's a fence like it's like a Trek fence, like you can't see through, or is it?
Yes,
like
yes,
chain link?
yes. It's a white plastic fence. So now there's no way, right? So if I put a ladder there and they put a ladder there, so they say, They must think he's not such a bad guy after all. But by the way, they have not put a ladder there. So,
So I guess you are a bad guy.
I guess.
Maybe they
Yaakov.
find you offensive.
Very good,
Doc,
good,
I
doctor.
didn't
We
see
haven't
you
heard.
on.
Doctor, we haven't heard.
Doc,
a
I
good
didn't
joke
see
from
you
you.
on, and I was about to say Yaakov is not offended.
I'm not offended. Okay, there you go. You and the doctor, Peretz, you must be dominating in the same.
I
minyan.
did. I looked to see if he was on. I didn't see him. That's why I
Ah.
said it. I was about to say, look up at the doctor who's not on yet.
Okay. Anyways, weiter. So that's what he's holding now. So he's busting a hole in their houses, and then he's excluding them from the erev. Yeah. Hadar Amar loy boy. Then he went back
I
and
would
said, "No, I don't
imagine
need it."
that for
Yeah.
these guys, it would be the perfect thing. These 10 people, whoever, obviously want to be antisocial. You don't want anything to do with the thing. So he suggests to them, I can make you even more antisocial.
By busting a hole.
Yeah.
I hear. I hear. Okay, maybe that's what it is. So Hadar Amar loy boy. Then he went back. He changed his mind. He said, "No, I don't need it." He made an erev in the entire mechuzah. We had this a while ago. Arasaisa means piece by piece. And he made a lot of little small erevin. Mishum Peira the Beituri, because of the how do you call it? The ditches for the cows to eat in. So the cows had all these ditches through each row of houses. So Mamela, that made a separation that you couldn't access. One street from another was always blocked by a trough, I guess, of for the cows to eat in. The kol chad v'chad have yishir l'chavre. So each section is considered excluded from the other section, right? Even though they couldn't make an erev with each other. Meaning, so basically what he's saying, right, is that they had all these little sections, different sections in town that each one had to make an erev. So he's saying that the reason why he didn't have to have any leftovers is because since every block in town had their own erev, that's an automatic leaving over. Every kid's going to know, I can only carry in this erev. I can't carry on the next block because it's a separate erev. So then that would be enough. Now, you couldn't combine anyways in this erev, right? Because he wasn't allowed to, because this cow trough blocked it from one to the other. Yet he still was able to include that as a leftover. Yeah? So, okay, so that's what he's saying. And then he says, no, I can't compare my case to that case. There they could have made an erev through the roofs, right? Meaning they were connected. It had like porches that went over. I guess it went over the trough between each block, so they were connected through the roofs. So they could have theoretically made erev in that way. So therefore, and so it's not a chiddush that he made erev. Hani loy ma'arvi, and this here, but these houses can't be part of erev. Hilkach navdan kris, and therefore we're going to have to make them windows. Hadar Amar. Then he went back and said, no, I don't need windows. Dahu peitivna tahavale lamar bar pufadisa mi pumbadisa. Right? Can't make that name up, right? He was Mar Pufidisa from Pumpadisa, right? Vishav Yeshir the Pumpadisa, and they considered that the section of town of that was not part of the erev, meaning he had this big thing of grain, tivna, right? About tivna, right? And there's a storage house that you couldn't include in the erev because it's not livable, and they made that into the exclusion of the erev to be mekayim this mitzvah. So even though you can't make that as part of the erev, so Amar said, that's what Rav Yosef meant when he said, make sure they don't scream at you in the Beis Medrash, right? Because if he had to make windows, because his maskana is that he didn't make windows, and he built the erev and he excluded these houses, which couldn't be part of the erev anyway, right? So that's what he was saying, that if I would have made them have windows, they would have gone to the Beis Medrash and say, who is this guy that came and knocked windows, and then we couldn't even make an erev, right? So look at
His thought process was back and forth. Meaning the Gemara spells out his thought process to do it, to not do it, to do it, to not do it.
You're right. Yeah, it's very
not usually like it's not. You don't really usually have a dialogue between different Tanam or Amorim doing that. This is within himself. He's saying, "Do it." Nah, maybe not do it. It's like a contract.
You're right. Yeah,
trying to figure out what to do. You know.
Yeah, listen, it's very interesting. In Eruvin, we'll take it.
Why was
the
it?
Gemara is actually marich in something, we'll take it. You know what I mean?
Why was it excluded again? Why was it excluded?
Their doors, their houses didn't open to the rest of the town. They had like a separate section.
I get it. So, but they put windows. No.
No, he didn't put windows. He was clearing. Should he put windows? Either way, he was excluding them from the erev. The shaila was, should he knock windows into them to show that they could be part of the erev, and then he's excluding them from the erev. Or can he just exclude them from the erev? That was his shot.
Why lechatchila were we excluding them?
Because every town has to leave over a little bit of place that there's no erev, so that people should know that there's such a thing as
it's a
derabanan. Yeah, because every town has to have a leftover piece. We don't do it nowadays.
We leave over a piece?
No, we don't. That's what I'm saying. We don't nowadays. We don't do it because I believe it's not a Rosh Hashanah. That's one reason. It's not a Rosh Hashanah, so you don't have to leave it over. And the Aruch HaShulchan, I think it was the Aruch HaShulchan that said that that's when you have sticks and strings, that's enough of a heker, which clearly it's not by the ocean, right? That this Shabbos is also a major Shabbos where there's going to be an issue with that because it's Yom Tif and it's a long day and people are going to go over there. Okay, whatever it is. But look at the third Taisus down. She says, "Hainu damar lechazi delay mitzavcha." Yeah, she says, if I would have made them make a window for no reason, they would have knocked down their houses. I have no idea what that means. I mean, they would have knocked down their houses for
Maybe
what?
they were poorly built.
You mean the knocking of the window would knock down the house? I understand it to be like they're going to get ticked off.
No, they would knock down their houses and make a door in the front.
No.
Yeah?
These people are antisocial. They don't even want a window to see the rest of the town. They want nothing.
So they would have knocked down their house.
So they'd rather no house?
Yeah, I'll build it again. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll knock down everything. No, I don't.
I don't know. That's a little. I mean, I understand the antisocial thing, but that's taking this corona to a new level. You know what I mean? But I don't know what it means. They would knock down their houses probably because they're not happy. You're right. Maybe talking antisocial. I don't know. What do you say, Uri? What do you think the shot is?
I said they would knock down their houses and like build them up again with the door in the front where you can access it, not just on the water side. So don't pick me to be your outcast house because my door is on the wrong side. You know, go find somebody else to be the house.
He writes.
Right.
They say over on the bottom, had Abaya required these houses to construct unnecessary windows, the owners would have complained to Rav Yosef that their homes had been needlessly dismantled. See Taisus.
Oh, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
So that they're touching it not the way I touched it.
No, for no reason they're ruining their houses.
Knock down their houses.
What does that mean?
They're going to complain that you ruined my houses.
For no reason, because you don't really need the window. So what do you?
So they say, okay, so they're touching it different. Okay, I guess I'll take their way of touching it because I didn't have a shot. So it must be that mine is wrong.
What does that mean? They're what?
Meaning they're going to come and say, well, this guy's knocking down our house for no reason. What's he making holes in our house for no reason?
So then what's Taisus saying?
That's what Taisus is saying. They're going to come to Beis Medrash and say, this guy's making us knock windows into our houses. And then he's telling us, oh, by the way, you can't be part of erev anyways. We got to knock a window we got to knock a hole in the back of each one of your houses so that you could be part of the city. But we're excluding you from the erev anyways. Wow. So they're going to come to Beis Medrash because they needed to have a place that's excluded. So he decided that that's going to be the section that's excluded. So they're going to come to Beis Medrash and say, who's this guy? He's coming, knocking in holes in our house.
And he's not being including us anyway.
Right, exactly. So that they're going to come complain. So that's why he was very happy that he decided that he doesn't have to make holes in the window. He could just exclude them without making holes in their houses.
Just make a door. What's the big deal?
You see, Yaakov,
yeah.
Rashi's sheet that we had yesterday about the 600 Shishim Rib, we were talking about it.
Right.
I didn't look it up in Google, but just happened to write a book review today. And London, in the year 1600, hit 200,000 people.
You serious?
Yeah.
And that was a big thing?
Well, it was a pretty big city, London, yeah. And it hit 200,000 in 1600.
Right.
So where Rashi have a city of 600,000?
Right. That's one of the shver kashas on Rashi. Right.
Isn't that what they use for Rosh Hashanah? What do you mean?
600, yeah, that's what we rely on.
That's what they use.
We rely on Rashi Shita. That we're not Rosh Hashanah. The question is, when in history was there ever Rosh Hashanah?
Well, when Klal Yisrael, don't they equate it to when Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim? There's 600.
Yeah, but
that's what they considered.
I know, but since then there's
no such.
Yeah.
What about when everybody was all of the regel?
Yuri, so also a Talmud Chacham is only somebody who would have been on Moshe Rabbeinu's Bezdin, because that was in the mid, but Moshe Rabbeinu's Bezdin. So there's no such thing as a Talmud Chacham for the last 3,000 years.
Maybe.
Maybe.
What about when they were all of the regel?
All right, that explains a lot.
Yeah,
that's why. Well, no, the Brooklyn Eruv, what they said was that's what they saw. They saw 600,000. They considered that a lot. Now it's not a lot. 1.2 million is a lot. So that's why. Okay, let's make an Eruv over Ocean Parkway. It's not really a Rosh Hashanah because
right. So that's but you have to be because. No, what Rabban is saying is that the other shita is that it's a Rosh Hashanah as long as it's 16 amos wide. That's it. That's all you need, which makes a lot more sense. Makes a lot more sense historically. That the 16 amos is the qualification for Rosh Hashanah, not anything. Okay, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that as we go through more in the Masechta Be'ez Hashem. Okay, weiter. Right, so you can't make an erev unless you make on the outskirts like a new city. Tanya Amar Rabbi Yehuda, the Chadasha Shema. Right, there was a city that was called Chadasha. Right, it's interesting because when I first learned this Mishna a while ago, I'm looking at this Mishna saying Chadasha. Why does it have to be like a new city in the thing? This is the problem when you're not Maritz and you didn't learn the whole Masechta. You know what I mean? You're like, Ir Chadasha, that's the name of the city, was called Chadasha. Now, why they had to name it that, I don't know. But I'm saying that's what it was, the Ir, right? The Chadasha Shema, its name was Chadasha. What?
We live in New York.
True,
New York,
good.
New England, it's all over the place.
That's a good order. New York. Okay.
New Mexico.
Yeah, it's not just called New.
What?
It's not just called New, it's called New York.
Okay, right.
My brother-in-law lives in New City. That's actually what this is called.
It was the first new. It was the first time they did it. So it was just called new.
Taka. Right, so maybe Taka, but okay. But I'm not bright enough to figure that out myself, so I had to bang my head against the wall. And then it's a Beferish Gemara. Even though Rashi does say it in the Mishnah, he does say Chadasha means this. What?
The first time I saw this Chadasha, I thought it was, you know, when you visit an Eretz Yisrael, I thought it was referring to today's day and age. Every time some yukel wants to open a new town because he's furthering Eretz Yisrael, they take 6 guys and they open a thing. That's exactly what it says, 6,000.
Well, that's going to be a Machlokes, exactly what the size, but maybe
whatever it is.
Yeah. And
that's what happens. Every new town in Yehuda is 5 houses.
Maybe, but here it needs a little bit more. It needs 50, right? So let's see. Tanya Amar Yehuda, v'Chadasha Shema. Its name was Chadasha. It had 50 people. Anashim v'nashim v'taf. That's also an interesting thing because 600,000 is just men, right? Coming out of Mitzrayim, 600,000 was the men. Shut the door, right? So, but here he's saying Anashim nashim taf. Don't make it think that it was 50 men. It's 50 everybody, all inclusive. And that's what the Chachamim measured, right? Whatever the size of that city was, that was what the size of what you have to leave over from your city not to be part of Eruv. What about Chadasha itself, right? Could Chadasha make themselves an Eruv? Yes, right? So what does Chadasha leave over? So the Gemara gives actually Gishmak Teretz. The Gemara says Chadasha ki yechidi have yishir l'gedoyle nami have yishir l'getana. Good. So Chadasha has the whole big city that's next to it that it's not part of. So that acts meaning it's a two-way street. The big city excludes Chadasha, and Chadasha excludes the big city. So everybody knows that there's a city that they can't carry from one to the other. What?
That doesn't answer the question though. How much does a small city have to leave over? Oh, they have to leave over a city 600 times bigger than it.
Right, so that's right. So then that's the Gemara's next kasha, I think. What you're saying, I think, is what the Gemara means. Ela kein chadasha. What happens if it doesn't have a big city next to it, right? Right? So Ela kein chadasha. What does a city that size do? Rav Huna bar Yehuda chadam or bay shir. Chadam or loy bay shir. They say one says it needs shir, and the other one says no, it doesn't need a shir. Such a small city doesn't need shir. I don't have a svara for why not. Why not? What, the kids there don't have to have a chinuch on that there's such a thing as carrying on Shabbos?
Oh, it's not carrying; it's excluding.
Right, but you want to have an exclusion. Why? Because you want to be able that the kids should know that there's such a thing as an isser of haitzah. The bottom line is the average kid in Far Rockaway, Lawrence, 5 towns has no idea that there's an isser haitzah on Shabbos. They really don't.
No,
right?
Really?
I'm telling you, go over to an average kid. They have no idea that there's really. I'm telling you.
Ma'aser Shahaya with me. I was walking down. A kid, the ball came in the street, and he says, "Hey, can you throw me the ball?" I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to carry." He looked at me like I was so strange. He goes, "What?"
Okay, there you go.
Say you make one week a year.
I think you should let down the erev once a Shabbos.
So they wanted to, but Baruch Hashem, there's so many simchas every week. They can't ever get it that there's no simchas, because who's the one that when he has a simcha? Well, you move to a town with an erev. One of the reasons you can make a simcha, put people up. And Baruch Hashem, there's every week there's a simcha.
So you make
you
make one Shabbos.
I know, but it would take a lot of arrangements.
Reb Zev, the Shabbos that you're making a simcha, that will be the Shabbos we pick. Your wife will be happy.
No problem.
I know you because of where you come from, but then your wife, where your wife comes from, but the rest of the Farak, you're gonna go nuts.
All right, well, they're going nuts in Corona. What's the difference?
I hear. The truth is, in Corona would be a good time to do it, right? That would be a way to make no socialization. That's taka. Put down the erev. You took care of half your issues, maybe even more. It's not a bad idea.
Yaakov, that's a hafladik idea. Instead of Cuomo shutting it down, just say I'm taking away the heter for the Schiris Rishus, and therefore you're not.
I told you they don't work anyway.
The White doesn't even have to announce the erev is not happening.
I understand, but that's one thing, Rabbi, that you say technically it doesn't work. But if Cuomo comes out and says the daf, I'm not giving you any.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you meant the other day. I didn't chop. That's what you meant. Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. All right. Whose side are you on, Peretz?
No, then I'll be the one that countersues those who sue Cuomo to say, I don't hold the erev, so you're not discriminating against me.
I hear, very good. We're actually getting to the Schiris Rishus in 2 blocks from now. But tomorrow's daf, Taka Peretz, is Schiris Rishus, Taka. You can't make it up. Tomorrow's daf is Schiris Rishus. Anyways, okay. So next. Yeah.
But it's possible to do the reason for this sad, the loy by yeshir, you don't need to leave over in a small town. Could that be because it's so far from being a Rishus Harabim that we don't need it? It's never going to be a Rishus Harabim.
Maybe.
A bigger thing, maybe it'll be a Rishus Harabim one day. We need them to know that there might be a deraisa sometime. This Ir Chadasha is never going to be an Issa deraisa.
You're saying, okay, maybe that would fit.
They specifically broke off from a bigger city to create a smaller city. So there's no interest to be a bigger city.
Okay, maybe Taka. So you're saying basically the small folk are going to get locked out of the big city. There's no hope for them. That's what you guys are saying. The Cleveland, South Bend, I guess Simon's not here, so we can't say it. But the Cleveland guys, yeah. You ain't ever making it to the big time. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but the small people in 2016 made the president.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Anyways, okay, let's see about it. Shimon on Gimel Chatzeres. So Reb Shimon says Gimel Chatzeres. He says you don't need to have a city the size of Ir Chadasha. You need to have 3 Chatzeres with two houses each. Amar Rav Chavar Guya Amar Rav Alach Reb Shimon. He says Allah is like Reb Shimon or Yitzchak Amar Afilu Vayis Echad v'Chotzer Achas. Even one house with one Chotzer. Chotzer Achas Sagadaitach. Do you really think one Chotzer that's enough? Right? Without a house? You need one house and one chatzar. That's all you have to exclude. Was this a Gemara or a Svara? Right? So meaning, does he have it? Is this his own Svara he's saying this? Or does he have a Messiah? What do you care? Gemara, Smur today. We had this a few times in Shabbos, a couple times in Shabbos. No, maybe was it in Shabbos or was it in Brachas? What? Here.
It was in Brachas.
No, but it's Brachas, right? It was in yeah. So he said Gemara. We have to learn Gemara, right? But it shouldn't be his miras, right? Meaning, so what does he mean with this? It should be just miras. His miras is something that you don't have explanation. That's what it seems. This is just a song. This is Gemara. We have to know what the source is, right? Yeah. So that's see the way Taisva says it is Taisva. The bottom Taisva says Gemara says Shahayla Kabbalah mishum tana isvara shemisvara hayayim shekach nira afapisha ain't shum tana cyber came. Right? Does he have a Messiah from a Tana, or is he saying it on his own? And he's not really coming to say a psach halacha, but he's not going to pass on something on his own like that. He's just saying what it seems like, right? Then he says, "V'kamar my nafkalach mina." What do you care? Klaimar hapaskin lel Reb Shimon. Anyways, we paskin like Reb Shimon, so we're not going to paskin like him. Mashani Gemara. Yeah. We should just know about it, whether it's a Gemara or Svara. Meaning, when he asked him, what's the difference to you? Meaning, Pshat, because we already said we're passing like Reb Shimon, who says you need 3 yards with 2 houses each. So why are you even being busy with the shita that we don't even passing like? Right? So that's what he's saying. So then he answered it back, no, because it's not, we don't just want to say over shitas it's not a song, it's something it's part of the learning. Yeah? Fine. That explains a lot, right? How come sometimes you can have endless Gemaras talking about the Shita that we don't even paskin like? You ever wonder that? We have that a lot. Like, well, why are you busy? Why are you busy with the Havaminas? Right? Elamai, because it's a Gemara. That's how you have to do it. It's not Zmiris. Okay, Zok the Mishna. Misha Ibn Mizrach. Somebody's standing on the east side of the city. And he says to his son, make me an erev to the west. We're going to see in the Gemara exactly what this Mishnah means. But Ma'ariv, he's standing in the west side of the city, and he says to his son, make an erev to me in the east. If between him and his house is 2,000 amas, and he has more than 2,000 amas to his erev, then it's mutter lebeisai, it's mutter to his house.
This is talking erev techum, right?
This is erev techum. But back to erev techum.
He's in one city.
No, he's out of the city.
He said
he's in
the east of his city.
Correct, but he's not in his city. He's out of the city. He's outside the city, and he tells his son, "Go make me an erev techum to the west, to the opposite side of the city."
He wants to go 2,000 amas outside.
Correct. So he says a shliach, his son, to go to the west side of the city.
But he can get to the city.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
Right. So if between him and his house there's 2,000 amas, and to his erev there's more than that, then mutter lebeisai v'aso le'eruva. Then he goes with his house, not with the erev, because his erev was a non-functioning. It was further than 2,000 amas. How's he even getting to it?
Why does he go to his house? Why does he go to the city? Once he gets to the city, he's in the city already.
No, when you're out of the city before Shabbos, then you only get 2,000 amas.
To your city, not to your house.
To wherever. I mean, it's 2,000 amas for wherever you're standing.
To the city, but then once you're in the city, you can get home.
What? No, not if you're out of the city.
If I'm out of the city.
Well, we're going to discuss this all. We'll discuss this all in the Gemara. Yeah? From between him and his erev, there's 2,000 amas. So basically, yes, and to his house is more than that. Then it's also for him to go to his house because he can't get there because it's more than 2,000 amas away. But he's mutter to go to his erev. Fine. So yeah, so this guy, this part of Mishna is not exactly so complicated to understand, I don't think. A guy goes and puts his erev in the ibur. Remember what the ibur shalir is? That's the 70 amas that they gave us, right? So a guy goes and puts his erev techum in the ibur shalir. What exactly did he do? Nothing. He's part of that city anyways, right? So he put a nice in his Eruv Be'ibur Ashir like Asav like Klum. He did nothing. He can't go any further because anyways, he's part of the city. Wherever he can go, regardless of that erev, right? But if he puts it outside the techum, even 1 amma, so now he put it 2,001 ammas away from the edge of the city. Then now we're on to Amud Beis. What he gains, he loses. So what does that mean? Meaning, since he could go now 1 amma, let's say he did it to the north. So he put his erev 2,001 ammas north from the city. So he can go 1 amma further, right? Or I'm not saying he can go. He extended it by 1 amma, but on the south he loses 1 amma, so he could only go 1,999, right? So however far away you make your erev to the north, that's what you're going to lose in the south, right? Meaning you can't have it both ways. So now the Gemara discusses what's going on here with the sun, with the east and the west. Mizrach means to the east of his house, and Lamayrav is Lamayrav Beisai, and west means to the west of his house. So Bishlama Heimenu Lebeisai Alfayim Amo Liruba Yesamikan. So then it makes sense when it says if there's 2,000 amos between him and his house, and to his erev is more than that. Mishkachas la demati lebeisai, but leimati leirubai. He can get to his house, but he can't get to his erev because his erev is further along the other side of the city. But if there's 2,000 amos between him and his erev, and then to his house is even more than that. How do you find that case? Right? His house, if he's going to the other side of the city, right? How could his house be more than that? His house should be closer, right? Again, he's standing we're thinking right now, he's standing on the east side of the city. His son is on the west side of the city. And we're saying that his erev is closer than his house. How could that be? How could the erev be closer than his house? It's on the other side of the city. His house is in the city, right? It's impossible. It's just a practical question. Again, he's on the east side. His son makes an erev on the west side, and we say, well, if between him and his son is 2,000 amos, and to his house, and again, his son is on the west side of the city, and to his house is more than that, how is that possible? Right? His son is outside of the city on the other side. If he's more than 2,000 amos away, his house has to be less than 2,000 amos. So who says that the east means the east of his house and west means west of his house? No, it means that he's east of his son, not east of his house. Right? Lamayrav Benoi, he's to the west of his son. Right? And that's what it is, not the west of his house. So then it makes sense, depending on who's closer, that's where the erev is going to go. Right? Rabbi Baruch Shila, what are you saying?
They had cell phones back then?
You mean, how did he tell him?
Yeah. He's standing 4,000 amos away from his son. Oh, hi.
Right. I would think that he sent the shliach.
He banged on
he sent the shliach.
They had a really long string with 2 metal cans.
He banged on the ground like the Indian scouts in the army. They were able to make noise by banging on the ground. Okay.
Yeah, for 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or he had a foghorn or something. I would think that he sent a shliach. That's what I would think. Meaning he got tired.
Maybe they did like they do like the new moon. Maybe they did fire something or other. I don't know.
I don't know. I think the simplest thing is that the guy, he got tired. Before Shabbos, he got tired. He said, listen, I got to go. Can I get to the other side? He said, I got no koyach now. He said, tell somebody, continue. Tell my son to go put a piece of...
The Mishna, he told the son and was some other age and while it was still day.
Oh, they say that in parentheses?
Yeah.
Okay.
While it was still day.
There you
go. You what?
They said the art scroll in the parentheses, which we said already yesterday, we weren't very happy with the parentheses in the art scroll. But this art scroll parentheses says he sent the shliach. He could have sent the shliach.
They're just replacing the word benoi with any other shliach. Not that he's sending a shliach to his son.
I hear.
The Mishna says he said to his son.
Right.
How does he say to his son? 3,000 amos away.
Right. Okay, I hear. I understood it as shliach.
He said while it was still day, so he told him while
Gershon, some sons listen to their father. No, even from 3,000 amos.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Yeah. By the way, Eliyahu found in the Sensino also doesn't say that it's Oisei Ish. They just say a certain person. Eliyahu, you there?
I'm here, yeah.
What was the Lashon?
He said
like
just
a
the
certain
same thing.
person.
The same
They also didn't want to say it was Oisei Ish.
Yeah, the same thing like the art scroll, basically.
They said the same. Right. Okay. So I don't know what's going on with that whole touch. Okay.
Are you laughing at me or my background?
What's the background?
You don't have to chop his background. Yeah, you could put on the background. I told you. Anyways, Rabbi Bar of Shila Omar, you put it on. Rabbi Bar of Shila Omar. Only one would. Yeah. Rabbi Bar of Shila Omar afilu tema lemizrach beisa lemayrev beisa. Right? You could say Mizrach is the east of his house and Mayrev is the west of his house. Kagoin the kai beisa balachsayna. Right? We're back to our alachsan. The house is on a diagonal, right? This seems to be a much more clara teretz, right? The house, who says it's all in one row, right? Good, it's not in one row, it makes a triangle, right? So it could be further west, but it can be closer to the house. And then depending on which one is closer to him, that's which way he's going to be able to go on Shabbos. Okay, those are the two terutzim, fine. If you put it inside the ibur of the city, do you think that he put it outside the techum? How could we, which is not really not going on that part. It's going if the person puts it outside the techum. So you're saying, can you put your erev outside the techum? How do you put your erev outside the techum? You can't get to it. Right? What he did is he put it outside the 70 Amos. When you put it outside the 70 Amos, so then every Amma that you put it outside the 70, you're going to lose. You're gaining it on the north side, using our example, and you're losing it on the south side.
But it's every erev they put out. That's every erev they put out.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Finish they're saying.
No, meaning the Gemara said, how can you go put the erev 4 away from the city?
It's not 2,000.
And
70.
What he gains, he loses, right? Right. This is an important point which we came across parenthetically a few times before this, right? Again, like we just said, if you make an erev techum 2,000 amos away from your city, then you can only go. Your Shabbos is 2,000 amos out of your city, so you cannot step out of your city the other way from your techum. You're not allowed to, right? Because you can only go that way. Finished, right? If you do it 1,000 amos, then you have 1,000 amos in the direction, 1,000 extra amos in the direction that you want to go, and you can go 1,000 amos the other way. But that's it. You can't. Again, once you make an erev in one direction, you can't walk in the other direction. So Mashaniska, the Gemara says, Mashaniska v'sulai, he only gets the part that he makes the erev to, and that's it. Now we get into an interesting Gemara. But Tanya hanoisen es eruv b'saychi bura shalir layosav v'loy klum. Right? Okay, that we said. If you put it inside the 70 amos, you did nothing. Nasnu chutz li bura shalir afilu amma achas. If you put it outside the 70 amos of the city, 1 amma, so then you get it. You get 1 amma in that direction. You lose 1 amma in the opposite direction. I lost the place. Oh, 1 second. This is not the way I just explained it. That's the next case. This is if you put it 1 amma out of the city, then you're losing the entire city. Yeah? Meaning, because the measurements of the city count towards his techum. Right? Meaning our Mishna said, this Bryce is different than our Mishna. Our Mishna said, if you put the erev 1 amma up, then you lose 1 amma in the back. This Bryson now is saying, no, if you put your erev, even 1 amma out of the city, you lost it became that you are not part of your city anymore. Therefore, you cannot walk anywhere out of your city. You're not part of this city. Right? Meaning, what does an erev techum do? That you're saying, I'm not in this city Shabbos, I'm over there where my peanut butter is. right? So this Bryce is saying, good, so you're over there. Either you're with us or you're not with us, right? You're out of the city. So Mamela, you can't be part of the erev techum of the city, right? So, yeah. So what do you mean? So he's losing a lot, right? He's actually gaining, right? It's a stira to our Mishnah. We have a Bryce if it's a stira, right? Again, our Mishnah said if you make an amma to the north, you lose an amma to the south. This Bryce is saying you lose everything to the south. So Gemara says, like kasha calls me dasi bechatzi year, kasha calls me dasi besoife year. One is talking about where the midah, where his measurement ends him up halfway through the city, right? That's the brisa, right? So kan calls me dasi besoife year, and the Mishnah is talking about where the midah goes at the end of the city, right? So what does that mean? Let's say a guy's measuring a techum, right? And his techum ends up halfway through the next city, right? Yeah. So basically, meaning, let's say a guy is doing, let's assume, let's go again with our classic example. Let's say Atlantic Beach is a different city than Farakah, right? So he wants to make a little bit of an erev techum. And then he counts 2,000 Amos, makes an erev, and he counts another 2,000 Amos, and that ends him up in the middle of Atlantic Beach. So now, can he carry the whole Atlantic Beach, or can he only carry up until the place where he measured? So Rabbi Shuma Levi is saying, if his midah is kultza b'chatzia year, ein lo ela chatzia year, he can only go up to halfway through the city. Kultza midah b'chatzia, but if his measurement goes and ends up, he jumps the whole Atlantic Beach, let's say, and he ends up putting his erev on the other side of Atlantic Beach, yeah, Nasas loy ha'ir kula kedalet Amos. Then the whole Atlantic Beach to him is dalet Amos, umashlimin loy asashar, and then he can go whatever amount of Amos extra after Atlantic Beach, right? Meaning, let's say Atlantic Beach ended up 2,000 Amos from where his erev was, right? If it was in the middle of the city, okay, so then he's stuck up until the middle of the city of Atlantic Beach, he can go. But let's say his erev will carry him to the other side of Atlantic Beach. So then Atlantic Beach only counts as 4 Amos. So then let's say he has 1,000 Amos left, then he could, before he hit Atlantic Beach, then he counts Atlantic Beach as 4 Amos, even though it's 1,000 Amos, and then he can carry another 1,000 Amos past. Yeah, do we get the difference? It's really not so complicated. I don't think I'm doing such a good job explaining it. Meaning, if your guy's traveling on the road, and he says, oh, I see a city, but it's Friday, it's already Shkia, I got to make myself an erev. If that erev ends up in the middle of the city, he can only carry up until the middle of the city. But if that 2,000 Amos carries him all the way across the city, past that city, then that city only counts as 4 Amos. And then he could continue on, meaning when he gets to the edge of the city, let's say the city is 1,000 Amos wide, when he gets to the edge of that city, he counts 4 Amos, and then he can go another 1,000 past that city. Right? That's the difference between whether his erev ends up in the city or past the city. So that's what we're saying is the difference between this brisa and our Mishnah. But Rav Idi doesn't like this. Amar Rav Idi, ein elu ela divrei nevius. This is nevius. Right? And the Gemara on Amud Aleph, we're wondering whether it was his own svara or Gemara. Here he's saying what he's saying now is nevius. He's not pro. That's what that means. Right? Meaning he means he made it up. Mali kolsa b'chatzi yer, mali kolsa b'zayir. What's the difference where your techum ends? If your techum ends in the middle of the city or at the end of the city, you should be able to go up to your techum or not. Right? So Amar Rabba Tavayu Tunani. No, we learn both. We have both shitas. We have a Mishnah that can learn both shitas, which is going to be the next Mishnah. Anchi ir gedoyla. If you have the people of a big city, ma'achan is kol ir ketana. If you have big city next to a small city, so the people in the big city can go through the entire small city. Ve'ein anchi ir ketana ma'achan is kol ir gedoyla. But the small city people cannot go through the big city. Again, another advantage for the big city. Again, it's saying the big city people can go through the whole small city. The small city people can't go through the big city. My time. What's the reason? What's the difference? Well, it must be because the big city people put their erev on the other side of the small city. So therefore, they can walk the whole small city. But the small city people, their erev ends up in the middle of the big city, so they can only carry up until there. So that was who? That's Rabbi Shua ben Levi, right? Was that Rabbi Shua ben Levi? Yeah, Rabbi Shua ben Levi. And what about Rav Idi, who said it's Divrei Nevi'us? Rav Idi, Inchi, Tanan. It says Inchi, twice. And we're talking about where you put the erev there, but not where you measure it, right? He's just talking, man. Meaning the way Rashi says it, it's the way. It's a little tough to learn without learning the next Mishna. Yeah, it's talking about where he's saying when it says Anshi, see Anshi Ir Gedola and Anshi Ir Ketana, right? So it's saying it twice. So we're saying that it's talking about where they put the erev in the other city, yeah. So there, if you put your erev in the middle of the city, then it counts as 4 amos. But it's not talking about measuring, right? So when a person measures, it's going to make no difference. Meaning if you, again, he's saying that the difference is if your erev ends in a city, that's it. You're stuck up until the end of that city. If you take your erev and you put it into a city, let's say, Far Rockaway to Atlantic Beach is less than 2,000 amos, right? So I can go take my erev and put it into Atlantic Beach. Then he's saying, then enochanami, my erev wouldn't count. I don't start counting my 2,000 amos. Let's say I put the erev by the sands, right? Using an example. So then what Rav Idi is saying, in that case, not only do I get 2,000 amos from the sands, I go till the edge of Atlantic Beach, just like anybody else that lives in the city of Atlantic Beach, and then I get 2,000 amos. Right? That's the way he's understanding it. Something Gemara says, V'loi, wasn't this in the Mishna? V'atanan ulamaydid she'amru, the person that we measure, the measuring that we're talking about, noisin lo alfayim amma. We give him 2,000 amos. Afilu saif midasei kala b'ma'ara. Even if his midah ends in a cave, right? He can't go with the rest of the cave. So what does that mean? That means that the Mishnah is saying you can only go up to where you place the erev, not further than that. So the Gemara says, no, we need it. Meaning, so basically, Gemara is saying, isn't this a Mishnah that tells you that you only go up into where your erev lands? Meaning, if your erev gets you to a cave, so then you can only walk up to that cave. So the Gemara says, no, it's we're talking about the end of the city, right? That Yeshua and Levi holds it. If you put it at the end of the city, then that whole city transfers into a 4 amos city. Okay, so Amar Rav Nachman, man detani anshe loy mishtavish, or man detani ein anshe loy mishtavish. Right, the one that says anshe in the next Mishnah is not loy mishtavish, is not a mistake. Man detani ein anshe loy mishtavish, and the one that says ein anshe also doesn't make a mistake. Man detani anshe loy mishtavish, the makul lo benoisen. The one that says that it should say anshe, not ein anshe. So then it's talking about where he puts the erev actually there. So then you can carry through the whole city. That's also not a problem. The Muki Lava Maidid, it's talking about where he's measured it. There's something missing from the Mishnah, and this is what it's saying. The people from the big city can walk through the entire small city. And the small city can't go through the big city. That's only talking about somebody who's measuring, right? But if somebody's in a large city, and he puts his erev in a small city, if he's in a small city and he actually puts his peanut butter down in a big city, but then he can go out of it and outside of it 2,000 amos. Yeah.
Is that how we paskin, that you get the full city as long as you get into it at all?
Yes, that's the way we paskin. As far as I know, that's the way we paskin. Yes, that meaning if I put my erev in Atlantic Beach, then I become a member of the Atlantic Beach, the town of Atlantic Beach. Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And then you get Far Rockaway because Far Rockaway is part of it.
Then you get Far Rockaway. Well, no, then you can't go the other way from Far Rockaway more than.
You can't go out of Far Rockaway. You get Far Rockaway.
You'll well, because if it's in the techum.
If it's in the techum,
it has to be in the techum.
Right. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you get your own city plus the other city?
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much you get back outside. Can you go the other way from Far Rockaway? Mustama not. right? I would think not, because you're a member of Atlantic Beach for Shabbos, not for Rockaway.
So just put it in the suit. Just put it in the first place within Atlantic Beach, so at least you get as much for Rockaway as you can.
That's what I would think, right? That's what I would think. Yeah, very good. Okay, let's just try to get to the Mishna. So tomorrow, hopefully, we won't be so behind after Yom Tov. Amar Rav Yosef, it's not a hard Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rami Bar Abba, Amar Rav Huna, Irshe Yeshevas Asfas Nachal. You have a city that's on the edge, like on a cliff, right? It's on a Nachal. So Im Yeshlufnei Daka Arba, if there's a wall, a small wall, that's 4 amas high, right? Which you would think you would put so that people don't fall down to this off the cliff. Then when you're counting for the what?
4 amas high?
4 amas, yeah.
That's a small wall.
Highway rail.
What?
That's
4 amas. How much is 4 amas? You're right. It's 6 feet. It's like 6 feet, 6, 7 feet.
That's a decent wall.
That is a decent wall, yeah. That'll keep out the Mexicans. Maybe not. No, I don't know. Mexicans are short, so I don't.
No, they have shorter amas.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. Okay. I don't know. All right. Whatever. So it's whatever. It's a 6 foot. It's a wall. Bottom line is, there's a wall there. So Mamela, that's there to protect everybody that they don't fall down the wall. So misvas hanachal. So then when you count, so where do you count the techum? Where's the edge of the city? So then you count it from the edge, from the lips of the nachal. But if not, if there's no wall there, then you can only count from your door. You don't get the whole city. Right? Basically, what the Rashi says, the pshat is because since it's dangerous to walk on the edge of town, we don't look at it as like established town. It's just a dangerous town. So therefore, we look at it like it's just a bunch of crazy people who just happen to have houses in the area. It's not considered a city. So therefore, you don't get the edge of the city shtick. I don't know what to call it, shtick, whatever. You don't get it. You can only count from the edge of the city if it's a city. But since there's no wall there, so then it doesn't get the edge of the city. Similarly, Abaya, Daka Arba Amas Amr Lanallah. You're talking a thin wall that's 4 amas high. Right? Mishna, Mikol, Dake, Da'ama, Da'arba. Right? Why is it any different than all other walls, right? Where you only need 4 tvachim. Right? So, right, because we said on Amud Aleph, a blot ago, we said that if you want to show that you're not connected to the other things, so you make a little wall that's only needs 4 tvachim. There is nothing scary, right? Here it's scary, so therefore, because it's scary, so you need to actually have a 4 amas wall, right? Yeah, it's interesting here. This goes all right. I don't know if I should waste time with this. It's too late. Okay. I mean, arba tfachim, we always said should be spelled without a hey at the end of the arba, right? Yeah. Arba with the hey goes with amas. Or is it the other way? 1 or 2, but here they're both spelled with the same. One means amas, one means tfachim. They're spelled the same. Right, but
with a hey. With a hey is tfachim. Without a hey.
No, but the one. No, good. Not right. With a hey is tfachim, but the arba here before here the arba is without a hey. The arba 2 lines before that is with a hey, and it means amas. Right.
I have one arba. Okay. I have one with hay, one without a hay.
Right. They changed it? Your Gemara changed it? No, one is in the Gemara, one's with the hay, one's without a hay.
Right.
So the one with the hay is a mistake, l'chayra. Right?
Yeah, mine has one with the hay, one without a hay.
Right, so that one with the hay is l'chayra mistake. Now that's what was throwing me off. Okay, whatever it is, that's agav. Fine. Okay, let's see weiter. Fine. Amar Rav Yosef, 5 lines up from the wide line. Amar Rav Yosef, Mina Aminallah. How do I know? Right? Meaning, how do I know that you have, if it has a wall, then it changes the techum. The Tanya hit the Rebbe, Shehu b'nei Geder Yarden l'chamsam. Rebbe allowed the people of the town of Geder to go down to the town of Chamson. But he said that the people from Chamson can't go together, right? Meaning, it sounds like it's a city was above the other. So Rebbe allowed the people from Geder to go to Chamson. He did not allow the people from Chamson to go together. Why? My time. No, but isn't it pshat? Is because one made a fence and one didn't make a fence, right? So since they made a fence, they can measure their erev a lot further because it's considered a town. The one that didn't make a fence is considered house by house, so their erev techum is going to go for a lot shorter. No, the people of Bnei Geder would beat up the people of Bnei Chamson, which is very, Rashi says, Makin v'hargen hayu Bnei Geder l'Bnei Chamson. The Bnei Geder used to beat and kill the people from Chamson. Can you explain this Gemara to me? I have no idea what this means. They're worried about erev techums, but they're beating and killing each other. Okay, I don't know. So the Bnei Chamson, the Bnei Geder, would beat up and kill the Bnei Chamson. So therefore, he didn't want the people from Chamson going together. What does mean hitter? Hiskin. It must be that he was mater. He made a takana. Yeah. So if that's the thing, so Mishna Shabbos, right? So why Shabbos? Why Shabbos? He should have made a takana never go there, right? If this town beats you people up, so Rebbe made a takana on Shabbos, don't go there. So I'm saying, why on Shabbos? Just make a takana not to go there.
What are you the takana? Don't go there.
Because they beat him up about a techum.
What are you saying?
I'm talking about. So think of Williamsburg 7-8 years ago when they did that to each other, the Mishagoyim.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Right, and they even hired goyim to do it. So
everything is Shem Shemayim. Is that what you're saying? Every Machlokes is Shem Shemayim. Yeah. So that's what they asked. So the Gemara answers the Shchicha Bashikrus, which is a lot. There's a lot of Moser to be learned from that. Shabbos, he's saying no, since it's Shikrus, and then when people get drunk, they do stupid things. So therefore, he told them Shabbos is a much more common time to be drunk. So Rebbe was misakin. Okay, nobody going there. So Kiyazi lahasam nami. Good. So, but then why let them come to your town? Right? Why is he allowing them to come to you? He's saying, good, don't go visit there because they kill you people. Okay, so don't go there. So then why are you letting them come to you? So the Gemara answers, Kalba, a dog not in his city, right, is not going to bark for 7 years. Meaning because the dog's not comfortable. A dog that's comfortable barks. If he's not comfortable, he's going to become a little puppy and scared. So here, I'm sorry, that's a kasha. So here too, why they're still going to come take revenge, right? Yeah, isn't that what the Gemara is asking? Yeah, they're going to also. Meaning it's going to be a two-way street. Maybe they're going to come back and fight. So they say kulei hai like kaifilahu, right? They're not that much. They're not going to be so. As Mamash and Yonah Diyami here too. They're not going to be so. Kaifi means they're not going to bend over to them so much, right? So they're not gonna. We're not afraid of them attacking them. Fine. No, it was a city that was made like, remember we had a couple of daf ago, like a keshes. Right? He has a whole different shot. It was made like a rainbow. So therefore what? So depending on where you lived in the city, then it's if you lived on the edge of the rainbow, so then you would get there. If you lived in the middle of the rainbow, you wouldn't get there. No, it was the same thing like we've been saying that tonight. There's a large city and a small city, right? So Geder was a big city. Chamson was a small city, right? So Chamson was part of the techum of Geder, but Geder was not in the part of Chamson. These seem to be a little bit more understandable cases than the first case, the first teretz. Yeah, Rav Kana masni hachi, Rav Yomi masni hachi. That was the way Rav Kahana said, and Rav Yomi, Rav Sava, Rav Dimi, Bachin, Achad, Amar, Ir Hasi, Kesha Savoy. One said it was Ir. They said it a different man to Amr. One said it was an ear that was made out of rainbow, not like a bow. And the other one said it was Anshe Ir Katana, Anshe Ir Gedola, but it was just a matter of who said what. But okay, so that's it. That's it for tonight. Fine. Oh, what time tomorrow? I don't know. What time tomorrow? Time is Shkia is what? 6:25, 6:24?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's early. It's early.
6 o'clock, no?
It should be a little later, like 6:10.
Okay.
Except
Last week we did 5:30. Last week we did 5:30, you know?
Okay, so let's do 5:25 and we'll try and get rolling right away, hopefully.
Why not go for 5 o'clock?
We're going to learn in the morning. Are we going to learn in the morning?
Yeah, they're learning a little. I can do it a little earlier. We're supposed to officially start 9 o'clock, davening 9:10. I have to be up to Baruch. Yeah, we can learn for like 20, 25 minutes. Yeah, 10 to 9. Yeah, let's do that.
10 to,
yeah.
10 to 9.
And in the afternoon, 5:25, not 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock's wait. It's too early. I don't think the island is going to. It's an erev of 2 days.
Is there an earlier minion tomorrow?
For Mincha, yeah.
Shachris, 6:30, 7.
Well, the Nets is at 7.
The Nates is 7, so.
Shayashav davens, it's the davens Nets tomorrow. The early minion davens Nets. In Shayashav, and you got the Nets minyanim also.
Can I ask a quick Inyana Diyoma question?
Sure.
He's asking if you're doing
For Sukkah,
if you want an outdoor minion, our outdoor minions Baruch was at 9:35 in my mother's backyard.
So that means no Tefillas Geshem from you?
I hope says it's going to be for anybody, right? If they don't do this restriction, I think Shayash is going to listen to the rules. So it's 10 people.
They're not 11691. They're in the last account.
No, they're in the red zone. They're in the red zone. Shayash is in the red zone.
Yeah, the red zone goes up to the 878.
What's Sukkah for Shmini Atzeres?
Yeah.
Kiddush.
You're in Florida, man. What's the heter to be not sitting in the sukkah in Florida?
My father has been in Eretz Yisrael for many years for sukkahs, so he doesn't sit in the sukkah anymore. So, like, you know, I don't know what to do because his minhag is now to not be in the sukkah at all in Eretz Yisrael.
So. Pashtus is like what I tell you. You should sit in the sukkah. You should sit in the sukkah.
Hasidish, no? Isn't Uri Hasidish?
Very Litvish.
He's Hasidish like you, Elio.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
Like Landau. It's not a compliment or it's an insult. It's just a fact.
Don't knock the Beckishes.
Yeah.
So saying sukkah, you say sukkah for sure.
I would say that's what Shulchan Aruch says. So unless proven, you have to have a pretty good proof to go against Shulchan Aruch.
Why the tefillah to leave the sukkah tomorrow on Hoshana Rabbah, and then you're going to sit in the sukkah again?
I don't. I say it on. I say it on Shmini Atzeres.
Aren't you supposed to say it on Hoshana Rabbah?
I never said it on Hoshana Rabbah in my life. But could be I'm doing it wrong. I don't know.
No, in Israel, when they passed the sukkah after Hoshana Rabbah, you don't have a choice.
Well, you could still sit in a sukkah if you want to. Just don't make a lay shave.
When? No, we don't make lay shave anyway. No, we don't make lay shave and shmini, etc. So, but a lot of you should know.
Do you sleep in the sukkah?
The Gra slept in the sukkah.
I didn't ask if the Gra. I'm asking if you do.
I do not.
Gra was the biggest misnagid. What do you mean?
Sian, do you wear tefillin on Chalamayid?
Yes, I do.
So then
the Gra didn't do that.
What are we talking about? You're not keeping all our Hasidish minhagim in mind.
Listen, what should I tell you? Listen, the Gra. I don't sleep in the sukkah. On Shmini Atzeres. My shver did. I don't. Yeah, whatever.
No?
What to eat also? Then maybe it is.
Thanks. You either eat or you sleep. What are you doing?
No, I eat. I don't sleep.
And that's on Paul Yosef?
I should know. A lot of people are asking because of the whole corona. They want to have guests, but they want to eat outside, and the sukkahs are on their porch. They want to eat simchas Torah on their porch.
Or can they just parcel
But the problem because of Baal Taisif?
Well, if they parcel the
What?
sukkah, then how they eat it
It's
on
a problem because of Baal Taisif?
Yeah, it's a problem. Elio, didn't you send me from Rav Schechter? What did it say in there?
We look at the 6. I can go look. I don't remember.
Even if you parcel it, it's Baal Taisif?
Well, if you parcel it, then why are you eating it at all on Hoshana on?
No, it's saying for Corona, if you want to sit on the
No, I know, but you can't parcel it on Yontif. So if there's anything to eat in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres, then you can't parcel.
Right, then you can't parcel it on Yom. No, you can't.
So you can't parcel it on Yontif for
Right.
Sarah.
I told one guy to make Kiddush and Hamaitzi in the house. I tell him do the opposite, right? Everybody's making Kiddush and Hamaitzi in the sukkah and go in. I tell them do the opposite. Make Kiddush and Hamaitzi in the house.
Is that what you tell everyone to do?
Well, those that are asking, that's what I started saying, but that's without really looking into it. So, I mean, that's what I think on the top of my head. Listen, it's crazy. There's crazy questions that are, don't come up. The mamash don't come up. I'll tell you a good one. Are we recording still, Parrots?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
a cue.
wait.
That's a cue to not be recording.
Hold on. Sorry.